It is better to offer no excuse than a bad one. The grand essentials to happiness in this life are something to do, something to love, and something to hope for. It is better to be alone than in bad company. If freedom of speech is taken away, then dumb and silent we may be led, like sheep to the slaughter. Resolve to be tender with the young, compassionate with the aged, sympathetic with the striving, and tolerant of the weak and the wrong. Sometime in life you will have been all of these. My mother was the most beautiful woman I ever saw. All I am I owe to my mother. I attribute my success in life to the moral, intellectual and physical education I received from her. George Washington. We sainted Saint Tammany, King Tamenend III, because he embodied moral perfection and every divine qualification that a deity could possess. I hold him in higher esteem than the saints of the Roman Catholic Church. He'll forever be the patron saint of America. A primary object should be the education of our youth in the science of government. In a republic, what species of knowledge can be equally important? And what duty more pressing than communicating it to those who are to be the future guardians of the liberties of the country? Be courteous to all, but intimate with few, and let those few be well tried before you give them your confidence. True friendship is a plant of slow growth, and must undergo and withstand the shocks of adversity before it is entitled to appellation. George Washington. But lest some unlucky event should happen unfavorable to my reputation, I beg it may be remembered by every gentleman in the room that I this day declare with the utmost sincerity, I do not think myself equal to the command I am honored with. A free people ought not only to be armed, but disciplined, to which end a uniform and well-digested plan is requisite. And their safety and interest require that they should promote such manufactories as tend to render them independent of others for essential. George Washington. In politics as in philosophy, my tenets are few and simple. The leading one of which, and indeed that which embraces most others, is to be honest and just ourselves and to exact it from others, meddling as little as possible in their affairs where our own are not involved. If this maxim was generally adopted, wars would cease and our swords would soon be converted into reap hooks and our harvests be more peaceful, abundant, and happy. Human happiness and moral duty are inseparably connected. However, political parties may now and then answer popular ends. They are likely in the course of time and things to become potent engines, by which cunning, ambitious, and unprincipled men will be enabled to subvert the power of the people and to usurp for themselves the reins of government, destroying afterwards the very engines which have lifted them to unjust dominion. 99% of failures come from people who make excuses. I hope I shall possess firmness and virtue enough to maintain. There is nothing which can better deserve our patronage than the promotion of science and literature. Knowledge is in every country the surest basis of public happiness. Guard against the impostures of pretended patriotism. Labor to keep alive in your breast that little spark of celestial fire called conscience. I didn't call you that, I called you George Washington. Associate yourself with men of good quality, if you esteem your own reputation, for 'tis better to be alone than in bad company. When you do the common things in life in an uncommon way, you will command the attention of the world. A sensible woman can never be happy with a fool. George Washington. Let us therefore animate and encourage each other, and show the whole world that a freeman, contending for liberty on his own ground, is superior to any slavish mercenary on earth. Happiness depends more upon the internal frame of a person's own mind, than on the externals in the world. Few men have virtue to withstand the highest bidder. I love to think of nature as an unlimited broadcasting station, through which God speaks to us every hour, if we will only tune in. The harder the conflict, the greater the triumph. Experience teaches us that it is much easier to prevent an enemy from posting themselves than it is to dislodge them after they have got possession. George Washington. The alternate domination of one faction over another, sharpened by the spirit of revenge, natural to party dissension, which in different ages and countries has perpetrated the most horrid enormities, is itself a frightful despotism. But this leads at length to a more formal and permanent despotism. The disorders and miseries which result gradually incline the minds of men to seek security and repose in the absolute power of an individual, and sooner or later the chief of some prevailing faction, more able or more fortunate than his competitors, turns this disposition to the purposes of his own elevation, on the ruins of public liberty. George Washington, George Washington's farewell address. Worry is the interest paid by those who borrow trouble. The turning points of lives are not the great moments. The real crises are often concealed in occurrences so trivial in appearance that they pass unobserved. Ilium seems far too pretty to be dangerous. Dimitri's male beauty, by contrast, was a darker, edgier thing. No one ever expects him to take out a blade and slice off their balls, he said with lethal amusement in his tone as he drove them toward the George Washington Bridge. He does it with such grace, too. Education is the key to unlock the golden door of freedom. As mankind becomes more liberal, they will be more apt to allow that all those who conduct themselves as worthy members of the community are equally entitled to the protections of civil government. I hope ever to see America among the foremost nations of justice and liberality. George Washington, anything will give up its secrets if you love it enough. I regret exceedingly that the disputes between the Protestants and Roman Catholics should be carried to the serious alarming height mentioned in your letters. Religious controversies are always productive of more acrimony and irreconcilable hatreds than those which spring from any other cause. And I was not without hopes that the enlightened and liberal policy of the present age would have put an effectual stop to contentions of this kind. Paper money has had the effect in your state that it will ever have, to ruin commerce, oppress the honest, and open the door to every species of fraud and injustice. Where are our men of abilities? Why do they not come forth to save their country? George Washington.
Please like, share and subscribe our channel and click on bell icon.